Well, welcome to the press conference. I'm here with the Clean Train Coalition and also Stop Dirty Diesel trains as well. And we're going to hear from spokesfolk from both those organizations. This follows what was a phenomenally successful rally this morning. There were about 100 people in attendance, and follows a scrum with Kathleen Wynne, which I'll report on when it gets to be my turn. But first, I'd like to introduce you to someone who's really become the face of this movement, Mike Sullivan, who is co-chair of Clean Train Coalition. Mike, if you could perhaps respond to the recent announcements that have come.
Well, there were several announcements over the past week. The first was Metrolinx's recommendation to its board of directors that it would like to electrify 2 of the rail corridors. Then this morning, the Metrolinx board of directors announced that it wanted the province to okay an environmental assessment to begin that process, and then within seconds of their asking for it, the province said yes. All of these things are ostensibly good things, but underlying all of this is more delay, more delay, more delay. We've been asking for electric trains now for 7 years, and we've not had, we're closer, but the problem that remains is that Metrolinx intends to buy diesel. There is, and the province has approved it. The province has okayed it. The Metrolinx board of directors has okayed that they're going to buy diesel. And once diesel is up and running, inertia takes over, and it's really much more difficult to electrify. The Metrolinx recommendations have said that in order to electrify the corridor while diesel is running, they want an extra $400 million to put a 4th track down on the Georgetown corridor in order to move trains to it while they electrify. They wouldn't need to do that if they electrified first. That's $400 million too much out of our pockets. Plus, they're buying these diesel trains, which they say are convertible. But when we asked, have you talked to the manufacturer about how to convert them, they said, no, it's not the manufacturer. We're going to go to tender and see if there's somebody out there that can convert these trains. They have no idea how these trains will be converted, just that they think they're convertible. Our fear, of course, is that once this diesel system is up and running, it will be 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the road and no closer to electric trains. The decisions have to be made now. The decisions have to be made not just to study it more, which is what this environmental assessment thing is, but to actually begin the process of stringing wires, putting in transformers, buying electric trains, not diesel trains, and solving the problem of pollution in the City of Toronto once and for all. We are not prepared, we as the residents of the City of Toronto are not prepared to continue to accept increases in the levels of pollution coming from this service. That the Air Rail Link service in particular, because it will only have 5,000 passengers a day, will in fact pollute more than the cars it takes off the road. The thing that was touted about the Air Rail Link service is, look at all the cars we're taking off the road. Doesn't matter a whit if you take cars off the road if you put more pollution back and more greenhouse gases back than the cars were emitting. It's just craziness, and we should not do it in the name of Pan Am or anything. The Air Rail Link service is intended to be for a handful of the elite. That's the premise upon which this is being built. Well, that handful of elite people shouldn't be permitted to make 300,000 residents of the City of Toronto sicker from diesel pollution that they will be subjected to as a result. And the Premier's got to stand up and tell Metrolinx that this can't happen. It's up to him. Let's put the pressure back on the Premier. That's where it belongs. That this service, when it starts, should be electric, not after.
Thank you very much, Mike. And now we're going to hear from Stephen Dorsey from the Stop Dirty Diesel group. Stephen.
Thanks, Cheri. A lot of the things that obviously Mike was saying makes it's common sense. Really, that's what we're trying to get the message out about common sense. The Stop Dirty Diesel train group is one of many groups in our communities that was whose activities were seeded by what the Clean Train Coalition has been doing for years. So we're really all working towards the same goal of stopping dirty diesel trains and doing what's right in terms of the future of the city for health reasons, economic reasons. If we look at the times we live in today, it makes no sense to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to then spend hundreds of millions more dollars in the future. If you read the fine print of all the press releases by Metrolinx even today, they say we agree with electrification, we're going to move forward. But really, if you read their materials, electrification is going to happen in 2000 never, right? And there's not a date, there's not a plan, so it doesn't really make any sense. The other argument that they go to if it doesn't make sense for them is talking about the 2015 deadline. They never really refer to it about the Pan Am Games. They're saying we have a commitment to have an air rail link to the airport. The Pan Am Games aren't really, they're looking to be the greenest games ever. So how do you become the greenest games ever with diesel trains, dirty diesel trains? Vancouver Olympics had buses, hybrid buses. They had to Whistler that ran perfectly. Why can we not have a low-cost, short-term solution to a 2-week event where we can have officials, athletes, and others who are coming in for the games on dedicated lines from the airport to downtown? We don't need a diesel train air rail link to satisfy that commitment. So it makes no sense. So we're trying to convey the voices of hundreds of thousands of people living around the corridor, but really this is really a Toronto issue. And all Torontonians should be looking at this and saying, how are we spending our money? How can we spend it smart? And how can we do it with electric trains first? We don't need diesel trains. You know, when I moved to this city, I always wondered to myself, how do you have a large highway between you, the city, and the lakeshore, right? Well, that was 30-something years ago when they built the Gardner Expressway and they cut off the city from the water. And people are saying now, wow, that wasn't really great planning. That wasn't really a great decision for the future of the city. Imagine what we could have done with that lakeshore. So this is even, I think, more critical for the future of a world-class city. We need better transportation. We need better environmental decisions. We need to protect the health of our citizens, and we need to do it with electric trains. We're all for rail. We're for better transit, and that's what we're urging the government to not go forward with the purchase of diesel trains anytime. We need to go with electrification first.
Thank you, Stephen. And just to wrap up, which I will do now, it's critical that a few key messages get across, because what we're hearing from Metrolinx and also from Kathleen Wynne, the Transportation Minister, is spin, and it's very clearly spin and not fact. It's meant to obfuscate the fact that they're going ahead in February and investing in diesel. 4-tier diesel, it's still diesel, and as you heard said, there's no clear evidence that these trains can be converted. There's no clear evidence that this is going to happen, and even if it does, it will cost an extra $400 million that needn't be spent. That's a critical issue. We need to stop the initial purchase of the diesel trains. The other critical issue is that they will produce more pollution than the cars they replace, what cars those are, because mainly with the air rail link, of course, they'll be carrying tourists from airplanes to downtown Toronto, and it will cost about $30 each way for them. So this is not something that can be used as transit by the locals or the residents around them. And as you've heard, there's some 300,000 people that will be affected by the pollution. What's interesting also is that this is not a partisan effort. We have people from all parties who back clean trains, and in fact, the only party members that haven't come out in favor of clean trains are the Cabinet and Dalton McGuinty. We've heard from Rob Ford, who says, yes, electrify now. We've heard from Frank Cleese, who's the critic for the Progressive Conservative Party, who says electrify now. We've produced tens of thousands of names and petitions to Dalton McGuinty and the Cabinet, and had this response, which is, as I say, a simply spin designed to maybe take some of the steam out of the movement for electric. I can tell you we won't let that happen. I can tell you